One person is arrested daily for possession of dagga. Large quantities are being smuggled into South Africa. The South African Police Service is also implicated in some cases.
A tiny kingdom with a big challenge. Illegal dagga trade is spiraling out of control here, at times with fatal consequences. Recently, 2 men were allegedly killed after a deal went sour. The bodies of 31-year-old lIIegal and his friend Dumabulunga were found dumped in the Nkomazi River.
The information we have is that they were traveling, carrying dagga, and then when they reached the South African side, they were killed.
Their families have refuted claims that they were trying to sell dagga.
By South Africa.
As schools were about to reopen, they crossed to South Africa to buy school bags and other school material. That's when they were then attacked.
I
am very hurt by what happened. I am still shocked because my brother was very helpful at home.
Investigations are ongoing.
The police are busy investigating the case of a murder, and even now they are looking for the car that they were using, that they have crossed with, to come to South Africa.
South Africa and Swaziland have committed to collaborate in fighting cross-border crime, mainly drug smuggling. 2 Mbombela-based police officers were arrested earlier this week after being found in possession of and dealing with dagga. Moeli Maslela, SABC News, in Manzini, Swaziland.
Well, Dr. David Fourie is the director of SANCA Western Cape. That's the South African National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence. He's on the line now. Good afternoon, Dr. Fourie. Thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon.
Doc, dagga is still very much a popular gateway drug for under 21s. Tell us why.
Yes, it's certainly a great concern for SANCA because we see the amount of people coming to our offices for treatment shows a very clear indication that people under 20 are very much at high risk to become addicted to cannabis, or what we call it as dagga. If I may just perhaps give you a few statistics here from our national, or let's say national, not only SANCA, but I think nationally in terms of all service providers, that people under the age of 20, the number of people who indicate cannabis as their preferred substance of choice ranges from 75%, which is 3/4, to about 48%, or let's just say half of them do experience already addiction on cannabis use.
Doctor, how does the drug make its way from neighboring countries like Swaziland onto our streets, schools, communities, etc.? We're just trying to understand the transit of the narcotic.
Well, I think we often see these big busts, and we know that there's a very good drug trade industry in the country, and I mean it's especially from all the ports. You know, we've got a country with a lot of ports, all these ways of getting cannabis, although it's also grown in some of our provinces like Mpumalanga and KZN. Yes, but I think that the main thing is, you know, that the drug lords are very well organized, and, you know, from the main lords, you know, they've got a supply chain or right through to your runner on the street, which is often some kids in the schools that they will use to actually, making the dagga available and, to market that. So it's a very well organized trade.
Doc, the general perception is that dagga or cannabis is less harmful than other drugs on the market. But this is far from the truth, isn't it? Will you debunk that sort of myth for us?
It's absolutely a myth, yes. I think we must understand, first of all, I mean, cannabis do have over 421, chemicals, or contains a lot of chemicals and of various kinds, of which much are psychoactive, which is very similar to all the other known drugs. So that is, first of all, we see that, although it's a plant or whether it's a natural product, it's really as harmful as any other. But I think what we see in terms of this is the younger the person who's starting to use or experiment with that, the more severe and the more serious early addiction can take place.
Let's talk about that dagga use within our communities, Doctor. How do we get around the fear of reprisals by those who want to come forward with information? Because a very interesting dynamic is that in certain neighborhoods, the drug lord himself is protected by community members, as he may often provide favors or assistance in terms of financial aid or something like that. And it's almost a kind of perverse loyalty that's not easy to break or to counter crime, is it?
It's our biggest problem that you're touching on. I mean, it's even to take it further, it's very often, it's people from the same household, it's your neighbor, it's people in your family. So that is really the big problem that we're experiencing, is to expose, the dealers of any drugs, but in particular also with cannabis. So there's not an easy answer, because I think we need to understand our socioeconomic circumstances in the country. I mean, for many people, this is almost like the last resort of actually, gaining some form of income for a household. So that is very difficult, and I think as long as we have, high levels of poverty, unemployment, low education, it will be very difficult to kind of change this whole, let's say, economic drug trade in the country.
Thank you, Dr. David Fourie, the Western Cape SANCA Director, on the line to us there. Well, coming up next, we've got all your business news for you. Let's see what's coming your way. There you have it. Fraud in the healthcare sector now escalates. But